Okay, whoever is speaking will have the mask off. Everybody else has the mask on. Okay. Chaliye.
Namaskar. I welcome Sri Hardeep Singh Puri ji, Mr. Civil Aviation, Sri Pradeep Singh Kharola, Secretary Civil Aviation, Sri Tuhin Kanta Pandey, Secretary Deepam, and Sri Rajiv Bansal, CMD Air India. I also extend my welcome to my colleagues from the media present here and those who are watching us through virtual PC. I would like to invite the Honorable Minister to address the media. Sir.
Thank you very much. As the PIO said, I'm joined by my colleagues, Secretary Civil Aviation, Secretary Deepam, and the CMD of Air India. I'm grateful to our host today for organizing yet another interactive session with all of you. We have been meeting periodically to share information about our plans on various issues relating to the civil aviation sector. I recall at least 4 or 5 such interactions when we discussed, evacuation flights. First of all, in the immediate aftermath of the lockdown, bringing people back from Wuhan, from other COVID hotspots, from Lifeline Udan, where we brought back 1,500 tons of cargo from outside, transported about 950 tons of cargo within the country, exported 30 tons of cargo to our friends in other countries. Vande Bharat mission, which started on 6th May with very modest objectives at that point of time. Today we have already, I think, carried both into the country and out more than 2.3 million people, as against the original assessment based on registration of people of 2 lakhs. Resumption of domestic civil aviation, which we started from 25th May. And when we started, we had, 30,000 passengers per day. Today, I'm very happy that the figures I have of yesterday was close to 174,000. And it's my expectation that by the time we reach Diwali, and between Diwali and the end of the year, we should be looking at figures which resemble pre-COVID levels. May I also say that one issue which has never been missing in the interactive part of our sessions has been the Air India question. Whether it was on my agenda or not, I'm sure that both the questions which came in advance, and all of you have already expressed an interest. Let me start by sharing with you, and I want to give you news as it is breaking, if I may use your term. Secretary will confirm, has the notification issued? It has issued. Okay. Otherwise, I was going to say it's going to issue very shortly. Just issued. Thank you, as Tuhinji is telling me. We had a meeting of the ISEM chaired by the Honorable Home Minister yesterday. We had a meeting actually 1 or 2 days ago. We had a follow-up meeting amongst the ministers, and we've taken certain decisions, which I will share with you in a few minutes. But I want to give you the broad background to this process. Most of you are familiar with Air India, its services to the country. I have on more than one occasion said that it is a fine asset. It services during the pre-COVID period about 40 international destinations and about 80 domestic points of call. During COVID, where other airlines have either diminished or curtailed their operations, Air India has actually added other foreign destinations during the COVID period, and I'm sure CMD Air India would be very happy to share the details if you have interest. It has trained experienced manpower, and both its cockpit crew, cabin crew, and the people who service it are an asset for the airline. It's also a Star Alliance partner. Now, all of you are aware that in spite of all the nice things I'm saying about Air India, the fact is that the privatization of Air India, or divestment or disinvestment, whatever term you want to use, has been on the agenda of the government for some time. The first disinvestment process, I think, started in the year 2017. At that point of time, the intention was to disinvest 76% equity in the airline, and 24% was to be retained by the government. After the cabinet approval in June 2017, ISEM, in its first meeting held in October 2018, gave a go-ahead for inviting an EOI, or an expression of interest. The PIM was floated on 28th March with the last date of 31st May 2018. And with all due humility and seriousness, I can say that if I were a bidder and I had looked at the terms of the 2017 bid, I personally would have also had some doubts. Because if you want to give up 76%, retain 74% with all the other ifs and buts attached, somebody could legitimately ask, why are you going down this road if you don't want to let go? Now, I want to fast forward from that, and it's no surprise that we did not receive any response to that invitation for an EOI. The current disinvestment process began in 2020, and I want to also situate myself in this. I had the privilege of being given charge of this ministry in June 2019, and when we were looking at it, of course, the lead ministry for the privatization is the Ministry of Finance and DIPAM, but as the line minister, we participated, and we floated the expression of interest on 27 January 2020, and the last date was kept in March 2020. The proposal then was to strategically disinvest 100% shareholding of Government of India in Air India and Air India Express, and 50% of holding of Government of India in ISATs, with a debt approximately of 23,000 crores based on written down value, to be absorbed by the prospective buyer. The timeline for submission of the last bid have been extended due to the COVID pandemic, and the last one was up to December 30th, 2020, which is tomorrow. Now, so I'm often asked, well, are you serious? Well, I'll tell you very frankly, the seriousness of the government is reflected in the altered parameters which were incorporated in the second bid, point one. Point two, the delays, very frankly, took place because, a process which was to commence end March suddenly saw the COVID lockdown, and we had a situation where there was a complete domestic lockdown from about March 23rd. Both civil aviation, we were able to resume domestic only end May. So these extensions and all the expressions of interest verbally that the transaction advisor and DIPAM were receiving, including calls to my colleagues, everybody said, give us a little time because we want to see not only what this is, to be able to travel, but also to see how the pandemic is going to affect the overall quality of what is being put on offer. So we reviewed this in the context of the new situation, And in a recent meeting of the ISEM, which I think was 3 days ago, 4 days ago, after detailed preparation, I want to now underline that detailed preparation means several meetings at Joint Secretary, Financial Advisor level, many meetings at Secretary's level, and then by the committee headed by the Cabinet Secretary. We'll re-looked this, revisited this, and it was decided to change the bidding parameters and ask for bids at the enterprise value. That is, the bids will be invited on equity and debt basis. Now, I just want to give you the timelines, and then I'll request both Secretary Civil Aviation and Secretary DPAM to share with you the technical fine points of the bid. The timelines that we have now, which I'm placing before you at the first opportunity, and I want to share with you, I'm doing this because there has been so much of uninformed, and I'm choosing my words very carefully, uninformed, and sometimes I also worry reporting which bears no relationship to what's happening on the ground. You know, purely speculative, X is interested, this has been done for Y is this thing. Please, there is no such thing. This is an open, transparent process where we are going to announce the timelines, and I will also share with you my assessment on how much interest there is. And I can tell you there's substantial interest. The timelines are, one, that the notification has been issued. And we will ask for comments to come in for a 7-day period. 7-day period, comments, which means essentially, let's say if it is issued today, then the comments, last date for submission of written queries will be 5th November, which is exactly 7 days. The last date for release or response to the queries on clause 6 of the PIM read along with the corrigendum which has been issued, we will then, you know, last time when we planned to do this, we had what, 500 queries? 500 queries. So my expectation is we will get a similarly large number of queries. Each query will be studied, analyzed, and a response to that will be put out. And we propose to do that by the 12th of November. And after that, we will provide a 30-day period for the submission of EOIs, which will be by 14 December, and intimation of the qualified bidders from our side will be by 28th December. So we are planning to complete this process by 28th December. And as I said, a lot of work has gone into this, both in terms of interministerial deliberation between the nodal part of the government, which is DPAM, all the concerned other actors. This has been looked at, and this whole process has been approved by the ISEM at a meeting 2 days ago, which was we had further follow-up discussion, and has been finalized and a notification is issued. Now, maybe I would request one of my colleagues, whoever wants to go first, Pradeep, to share with us, and then I'll request you, Tuhin. Yeah.
Thank you, sir. I'll just give further details what Honorable Minister has just stated. Well, disinvestment of the strategic disinvestment of India, the process, the first step, the first stage process started in March 2018, and as just Honorable Minister was mentioning, that at that time we had two major parameters. One was that only 76%, Government of India holds 100% of shares in Air India. At that time, the proposal was that only 76% would be sold and 24% would be retained in Air India. And the second important aspect was, at that point of time, Air India had a total debt of about 55,000 crores. And of that 55,000 crores, a debt of about 33,000 crores, including liabilities, would be retained with the Air India, which is going to be sold. So that was the first proposal, and we did not receive any bid. So it was decided that this entire thing needs to have a relook, and the ISEM approved the second stage of disinvestment of Air India. At that time, again, two major changes were done. The first major change was that instead of disinvesting 76%, the government decided that 100% of shares of Government of India would be disinvested. This was the first major change. And the second major change was that earlier it was said that about 33,000 crores of debt will go along with Air India. So it was felt that this was not a really sustainable level of debt. So it was reduced. It was brought down to 23,000 crores. And with these two parameters, the second step, the second stage of bidding started, and the PIM, that is the Preliminary Information Memorandum, seeking expression of interest, was issued in the month of January 2020, and the last date was in March, but then the COVID came, and there were about 4 extensions, and as per the previous system, the last date for filing nomination was this month end. So now, with the COVID coming in, the scenario has changed. There has been a total change in aviation environment. A large number of airlines are facing hardship, that the demand has come down. Though we have a good domestic backup, but international demand has taken a big hit for all the airlines. So with these change conditions, it was felt that the way we had packaged Air India, it may not evince enough interest from the bidders. So again, a third major change was done, and this was that instead of saying that Air India can carry about 33,000 crores of debt or 23,000 crores of debt, the bid would be on enterprise value. In simple terms, it means that the bidder will have to say how much debt he would be able to carry along with Air India. Now, this was a major change, and what we are saying now is that the bid will be on enterprise value. And this is what the today's notification is, that the bidder has to give the enterprise value, and in this enterprise value also, a ratio has been earmarked between how much he can take as debt and how much he can take as he has to give as cash. So there, the ratio which has been decided is that whatever enterprise value he quotes, 15% of that he will have to give cash, that is money to government, and remaining 85% he will have to take debt along with Air India. So these are the broad parameters, and the timelines have been mentioned. Now with this brief introduction, may I request Secretary Deepam to give the further details of the process.
Respected Minister has already explained the issues quite succinctly, and also my senior colleague, Mr. Kharola, has also, I'll just, on the structure of the transactions, I'd like to just make a few clarifications. One, what has changed? What has changed today is that from a fixed debt level, we are saying we are not now predetermined level, we are not determining. So but that does not mean it is becoming debt free. The point is that what is the level of debt which will go along with the Air India will be determined in the market rather than we fixing a priori. And why are we doing it? Because it's a very uncertain environment. In an uncertain environment, anything trying to fix on any criteria, there will be a counter question that, look, this criteria is not valid. So rather than, putting ourselves into shackles in an uncertain environment, we are unshackling it. So this doesn't mean that the valuation in any way is going to be affected by that. What is going to be the value will be discovered in the market through a bidding process. All what has changed is we are unshackling this process a priori at the AOI stage. Because there are two stages to this transaction. One is the AOI, where the people express the expression of interest, and then the selected bidders, they go through the detailed due diligence process of going into contracts, assets, and so on, and then make a financial bid. Since in the PIM we had said we fix a debt level, which means that debt level getting fixed means what will be the quoted by them in the RFP will be the equity value. Now what we are saying is the debt level is not fixed. It could be variable, but it will be discovered in the market through the highest bidding process. But, so what will be they quoting? They will be quoting the market value of equity and debt as assessed by the bidder, which is exactly enterprise value. So today in the corrigendum we have issued, we have defined what is the enterprise value that we have. What has not changed is the level of liabilities other than debt. Which was fixed in the last PIM of 27 January, that was a new construct which came, which was a very big improvement over 2018 process, was the Air India had huge liability as on March 2019 of the order of 25,000 crore, current liabilities. Against that, there were only about 8,700 crores of current assets. So which means that a lot of liabilities, current liabilities, which means, the dues to the oil companies, dues to the airport authority, things like that, which are the current dues. So that would have also been burdensome for anybody new. So what we had, the construct we had at the time, that the net current liability will be zero, which means the liabilities, current liabilities will be matched with current and non-current assets. That has not changed. So that remains what was there in 27 January PIM, that has also remained this. So the only change we have done is that the debt level which was prefixed, that has been now unshackled, and therefore the enterprise value bidding can take place. So this is on the structure, and we have also on another clause which was relating to the assets, which was again tightening the process right at the EOI stage, that we have said that again it will go to the RFP stage, which will also be, along with the other clauses, it will be finalized. So 85% and 15% I'll just add on. That 15% is the minimum cash consideration, which means it does not mean that the bidders cannot quote higher cash than that. They can actually even take 100% cash consideration also, but in order to maintain a certain level of transparency and equality, 15% is the minimum requirement. If they offer more, I mean, it will lead to less debt, but they will not get any preference for bid evaluation. So for bid evaluation consideration, higher the EV, the better your bid is. And the highest EV gets it. But anybody quoting any EV will have to give minimum 15% of his quote as cash. However, he can give even 100% cash also. So in a way, this construct is highly, opens up a range of bidders, while it also brings in the skin in the game for any bidder who comes. So it is not that somebody says, I'll take 100% debt. That option is not available. 15% minimum cash is available. So these are the corrigendum which we have been issued today. And another one which is important one is, due to the COVID, we have this issue of hard copies. So we have these deadlines where we have allowed even the soft copies through email also to be given by the due date, provided within next 7 days, they give hard copies to our transaction advisors. This has also been done because it is difficult for the people to always print and do all these hard copies and do it by that date. So we virtually will take away there a few more days. They will have to do that. So that has also been brought in, again due to the COVID considerations and on the count of the request of the bidders, potential bidders. So broadly, I have this to say on the structure of the transaction. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you very much. I just wanted to add, I think between Mr. Kharola and Mr. Pandey, they've very comprehensively shared with you the different elements of the bid. And there's one point which perhaps we need to, maybe one could flag, is that this 85-15, in aviation industry, a debt equity ratio of 85-15 is typically considered for aircraft financing. That's how we got this. The expert committee on resolution framework for COVID-19 related stress recommended for the aviation sector total outstanding liability / adjusted total net value as less than 6, selected investors. So we looked at different people, what they had been saying in different international bodies, and therefore we reached this 85-15 figure. Now, unless my colleague and friend, the CMD Air India, has something to say, I just wanted to give you an overall picture. One, that the airline has very well-deserved credentials and reputation. what is being privatized is a running airline, as against other ventures in the market where, you know, the entity stops functioning and then people come and look at it as a kind of a garage sale which is fire. This is a running entity. During the COVID period, if Air India CMD wants to add in, they actually did very well in terms of their economic performance also. And, but it's the accumulated debt, which Secretary did not point out. He mentioned an earlier figure of 54,000 crores, but when we reached 31st March this year, I think the figure was 60,000 crore. Now, therefore, it is good and I think eminently sensible that when it is a running airline, when its performance is doing well, we invite prospective bidders at this point of time. And I'm again sharing with you that my own personal view is that airline business is one in which private sector operators who do business according to the norms and practices there are better equipped to deal with such situation rather than government. The government has put in a lot of money there in terms of, you know, the kind of support that Air India has received, including during this period till we finally find it a new buyer. And I think stressed government resources can be better utilized in other more pressing areas. So this is the broad background. And as I said, unless Rajiv wants to say something, maybe something about how well Air India has done or Air India Express has done, and then we can, or anything else you want to say.
Thank you, sir. So I'm very happy to announce today that during the COVID time when we started the Vande Bharat mission, we started on May 7th, and yesterday we have been able, till yesterday we have been able to clock 10 lakh passengers. That's 1 million passengers to and fro under the Vande Bharat mission. So it is a kind of an achievement of sorts that even in these difficult times, we have been able to reach this milestone. This we have achieved on the strength of both Air India as well as our low-cost carrier. Our carrier Air India has about 121 aircraft, and our low-cost carrier Air India Express primarily operates on the Middle East route and largely to Kerala within India, and they have 24 aircraft. So both these airlines, both Air India as well as Air India Express, are being considered for sale in this divestment process. In fact, Air India also has a 50% share in AI SATs, which is also being considered as part of this disinvestment process. This, during Vande Bharat mission, we have in fact, as Honorable Minister mentioned, we have added destinations. We flew to as many as 75 cities in 54 countries, adding 36 new destinations during these last few months. So this has been a feather in our cap. It's a going concern. It is, our revenues, both international and domestic, are looking up every day. We do feel that the worst of the COVID crisis and its impact on our airline is over, and there are only better times ahead. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. So first we take online question. The government has been keen on reviving tourism in the country. Is the government considering on reopening tourist visa and e-visa anytime soon? Tourism.
The way this question is formulated, it becomes easy for me to give an answer. Whether you're considering, yes, the answer is yes. Because let me tell you, as somebody who's related to the tourism industry from the point of view of the air carriers, from the point of view of the airports, because the tourism sector is part of that. I can tell you, we have opened up all visas other than foreign tourists. And I think the next logical step is foreign tourists also. Domestic tourism is taking place. Make no mistake. When I look at, I have traveled in the last few weeks to Kushinagar, I have traveled to Patna, Darbhanga, I was in Lucknow day before yesterday. Domestic travel is taking place.
It is for foreign tourists.
Foreign tourists that I'm saying, domestic tourism there. Foreign tourists, Look, I think behavior of virus, and also I think there comes a time when it takes place suddenly. We will open up for foreign tourists, but after assessing the situation.
Perfect.
Yeah.
24.
Hi, sir. Anu from CNBC TV 18. My first question is that do you think the timeline until 14th of December will be sufficient for the bidders to submit their interest, given that now we have changed the bid parameters? And secondly, you were mentioning something about the kind of interest you are seeing from potential bidders. So could you elaborate on that?
Well, you know, the potential bidders have been showing interest for some time. So I am reasonably sure that some of this tweaking has been done following suggestions which have been coming from all the stakeholders in the game. I should have also added on that 15% is necessary because you have to show skin in the game. I mean, you must be able to show your own commitment. Look, these are people who are serious about the civil aviation industry. These are people who have been for many months talking to the transaction advisor. They've been seeking clarifications as per legitimate norms from the concerned agencies. They've been talking to, I'm sure my ministry also, find out what is happening, what are our plans, etc. And therefore, I think your question is that time sufficient for them? My answer is yes. Because we make this announcement today, notification has gone out. If they have doubts, they are fully within their within the possibility to ask questions. And they will raise the questions, and I'm sure DPAM and the transaction advisor and all of us will respond to those questions. So I think 7 days is enough, especially since you've been monitoring a process. I mean, the process has been gone on for a while, but I'll request Tuhin to add to that.
You see, the question is, the queries are only from the point of view of what we have changed. The earlier PIM, if you say, it runs into several hundred pages, in fact. It had so many clauses. All of that has been sorted. What was not sorted was, whether or not we will have this kind of, so it's only one clause or two clauses that we are changing. The queries are restricted to that. And if you really see in business, normally enterprise value is actually calculated first. And out of that, the debt is eliminated, and that gives an equity value. So the moment we are saying that you quote the enterprise value, actually it is a broader thing. So it makes the things easier.
Another online question.
Yes, we. No, we don't
supplement
expect.
You know, it's not some proposal that you're considering de novo for the first time. I mean, they're all very familiar with him. And as Tuhin explained, the corrigendum and the notifications are on very few points. The rest of it is there. And as you said, even in the earlier system, you would have to first work out enterprise value and then go towards what you want to offer as a bid. So now it should be relatively easy. But as I said, I don't want to anticipate. I personally think 7 days is more than enough. Then the queries will come in, and I can share with you in our internal discussion, I was actually wanting to compress the time even further. We are now where in mid-December, right? I wanted to compress it more and make it end November, but then I was advised by my colleagues that perhaps we should just give them little more time. But it's going to be enough, yeah.
Sir, another online question. You mentioned that by March 31st, 2020, Air India had a debt of rupees 60,000 crore. What does it stand at now? How much equity has Air India sought to continue its operation in the current scenario? I think we need to clarify 60,000 crore thing. Is the figure correct, quoted as it is?
So the current year is quite challenging for the entire aviation sector. Air India has also been affected because of the international operations. We feel that at the current level, during the current year, we should have a loss in the range of about 8,000 crores, which should get added on to the loss which is there.
Number 6.
Well, the numbers are, as on 31st March 2019, 60,000 crore
Yeah.
was the existing debt. Out of that, in the previous round, 29,464 crores was intended to be hived off. That fully has not taken place. 21,985 crores has been hived off to already, as per the previous decision. But 60,000 crore as on 31st March 2019, yes, that was a figure.
Number 6.
So, Polemy from India Today. It was kind of related to this, my first part of the question. In the current PIM, the debt is at about 23,000 crores. It stands at. Given the passage of time and, of course, the impact of COVID-19, where does that level of debt stand? The losses which have been incurred as well, where does that level of debt stand? Have you been able to assess the same? And also, as far as the assets are concerned, has this decision to change the parameters of the bidding process been taken in view of the fact that, the aircraft have been standing idle for some time, the assets have depreciated in value? What did the transaction advisor, EY India, tell you also?
No, of course, what you say is correct, because as you go along, with every delay, there is always a depreciation of assets which takes place. Apart from that, there is a very added stress due to COVID on what we call as the assets getting impaired or stressed because they are not able to yield revenue. So both the processes are taking place. So obviously, if you assess the assets on the balance sheet on a particular day, maybe down the line, if you don't add the assets, there will be asset deterioration over a period of time. That is one of the concerns that bidders had, how much of debt can be sustained by the airline. That is the reason why the EV value is being done, because it's an assessment in the market which needs to take place of what assets are worth, and what are the capability of assets to generate the cash flows. Because you don't run a business only to have assets, you run it for getting cash flows. So both these assessing cash flows and assessing the worth of the assets will be determined by the market, and that is what EV is all about.
The last online question. Passenger traffic is eventually increasing. Will the price cap system still be in place?
This question has anticipated announcement I was going to make. You will recall when we first introduced the price cap system, I had said till normal conditions are, revival or normal. Now we have progressed domestically. We have come from 30,000 to 174,000 yesterday, 180, but I still think we need a little more cushion. So we'll be making an announcement this evening. This is an announcement that we extend the price band for another 3 months.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you, friends.
This is the announcement, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, but I always, when I say this, I mean, you have extensions of the NOTAM also, but it seems as if, international civil aviation. But within that, we are doing the bubbles, we're keeping on increasing. We've got about 20 countries to which we are flying, we have bubble arrangement. But even this, even though we are extending it by 3 months, if by the time we reach the end of the year, we find that there is a very appreciable improvement in the situation and we are reaching pre-COVID levels, I would have absolutely no hesitation if my colleagues, want us to not utilize the price band for the full 3-month period, because this is already till 24th November. But I think till end December you lead it, but we are extending it for 3 months and then we'll have a look at it as we progress.
Thank you very much, sir.
Yeah.
It is, right now it is the 24th November and 3 months are being added to that. Yeah.
Thank you, friends. Thank you very much.